What's up, Quality Reps? Welcome to episode 1 of Qualitycast, your local fitness podcast, where I'm bringing all of the wonderful professionals and excellent trainers of the land to come and give you some digestible and tactical health and fitness advice. Today, episode 1 is actually going to be me being interviewed by the one, the only Magnus Curtis Jakes. Very happy to be here with my brother. I'm always with my brother, you know what I'm saying? My roommate, my right-hand man. So, today we're going to be interviewing me and just kind of going over, maybe a couple of my origin stories and, just different questions that a lot of you guys actually sent in, which I'm pretty happy about. So, yeah, let's start the interview, guys. Quality reps till I expire. Peace.
All right, so to start us off, I'm going to ask some questions about your background, your villain origin story.
Yeah, hero origin story.
Yes, I want you to keep one thing in mind, a kind of connecting thread through these questions, though, and it's why do you think that adults lose their discipline when it comes to fitness, training, their mindset, mindfulness, and how can they regain that and build it back?
Yeah, super important question. I mean, first of all, it's like, I think, it's not a very high percentage of people in this country in terms of adults that, have a regular fitness regimen. And, when we look at the science, and obviously I'm super immersed in all the science for it, it's like the number one thing that you can do for your health. Like, it affects your entire body. All systems are improved.
Reduces your cancer risk, helps your heart.
Everything, man, all the cognitive stuff. So
yeah.
I think it's really important, and I've chosen this path for a reason in terms of being an educator in this industry. And it's an important question. But yeah, let's start with the.
But yeah, let's get into that. You just said choosing this fitness path as a career. Why did you choose that? Like, what led you down that path? What was this kind of spark that got you into the industry?
Yeah, so I mean, you remember growing up, even 16 years old, or I started working out when I was like 14. I was interested in martial arts. I started watching Naruto, and I was like, they're moving around and like kicking and punching. And I was like, yo, this is so cool. And obviously it's a pretty fantastic story, but it's when I went and I had a heavy bag in the garage. And that was definitely, I put a lot of rounds in that bag over the years. That's definitely a big part of that, like just having that exposure to like what is this thing in the garage, you know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, shout out my stepdad for that. It had he taped on it, it said "Bring the pain," and it was THA, bring that pain. But yeah, so getting into just, hitting the bag, doing little push-ups, crunches next to the bag. And then from there, I was just, really getting into programming. Like, coming up, when I was 14, it would have been
2018?
2018. There's so much fitness content on YouTube. Like, there's this huge wealth of fitness content on YouTube, especially like, even then, especially now. And so I was just really getting into watching all these videos on like different exercises and what the science was for muscle growth and what I needed to do and all of these different metrics and values and stuff that, it's a lot of information, right? So when I started learning that stuff, I was, I feel like I remember, programming and just like watching these videos almost as much as I was even training. And then from there, I always had that spark to just invite you guys over. Whoever wanted to come, out of my friends, like whoever would be down with it, to come and just learn from what I had learned and just, do some boxing, and do some push-ups and pull-ups in the garage there. And it's just, damn, that's crazy. That was Carl that just texted me. But I always had the spark to just share it. I really don't know why, to be honest. It just was always a part of who I am. And, from there, once I moved to Montreal, my first choice of work was actually to go to carpentry school, because they were going to pay in 2022 or 2023.
2022.
Yeah, 2022.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they had a program where they were going to pay people to do carpentry. And right out of high school, I was working as a cook and then working as a carpenter. And so I saw this opportunity. It was actually in the Winnipeg Free Press, I think, that they had this ad for this program where you were going to get paid, like basically, I think it was like $18 an hour to go to carpentry school. Right. So I was like, oh my goodness, like this is this is the greatest opportunity that I have right now. And so I applied, but it didn't work out that, you know, I didn't get in basically to the program. But, you know, I was like fully prepared to move here and do that. So in my head, I was like, you know what? I am going to fully commit to moving, but I'm going to also fully commit to diverting my path from carpentry because I was having some problems at the time with just working for anybody, actually. You know, working for the boss that I had at the time, though, he was really just like disorganized and just like a really like erratic human being. And so I was working for him and I was having all these problems with him, and the work that I was doing was like really annoying. Like I have some horror stories about those job sites where it's just like nobody knew what we were doing. I had to go to the other side of town and back every day on the bus, you know, and it was just kind of tough, you know. And from that point, that really manifested the feeling of I want to work for myself, right? And so I wanted to create a business that was not only beneficial for me in terms of finances, not only beneficial for me in terms of something that actually brought me joy and flow state, but also something that was inherently righteous and helpful to humanity. And I think for young people and old people, these are the three things that I think is really important to be keen on when you're developing some sort of side hustle, and especially in your main career. Because if any of those things aren't there, I mean, you can say what you want about capitalism, but in my opinion, you're gonna get in a situation eventually where, you know, it's not gonna be the best possible thing for you. Like if you're not happy, if you're making other people unhappy, and if it's not something that brings you joy, eventually you're gonna be suffering from that, right? And I think our parents' generation, especially their parents' generation, there was no thought of that, right? It was like, what opportunities do I have? I'm just going to go do this job for 60 years and, you know, that's that, right? I need to provide. But I think with technology now, you know, I think young people can leverage it in really incredible ways. And I think there's a lot of ways to make money that hurt people, you know what I mean? And I think that's really important not to do that. So I chose a path that was like extremely beneficial for other people, extremely beneficial for myself in terms of getting paid to do it, and also the fact that this information is going to help me for the rest of my life. And also teaching boxing, especially like when I do those park classes, total flow state. I love teaching boxing so much, especially at the park. You're outside, especially with my students now that I've had for a couple years. Like it's just, you know, the best feeling for me, you know what I mean? So I love running those classes, and you know, I'm gonna always, I think, have something like that I'm doing, even if I move away from fitness professionally.
Well, let's circle back on that, because Qualityreps didn't start right away. Like
yeah.
You moved here, you got a job at a gym.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, walk me through how Qualityreps got started and how it's evolved since then.
Yeah, so I mean, I was seeing that at the gym, you know, obviously people come in, they pay for training, and I was seeing other trainers come in and, you know, be essentially independents, right? Like independent contractors. And they had like a different way of doing things, and they were just using the space, they're kind of like renting the space out. And so I was like, okay, well, what is this? Because, you know, it's pretty obvious when you're working as a trainer for a gym, and it's like, okay, especially if you're working on the floor and they tell you, okay, so personal training, if the client wants to buy it, is $80. But then if you're a trainer, it's like, okay, if you do a personal training session, the boss is going to pay you $40. So it's like, whoa, if I can get one client independent, then it's going to be worth twice as much, even though obviously it's a hustle. But the biggest thing that was the biggest blessing. Shout out Marcos. I met him at the first gym that I worked at, and he told me, he said, "Go down Peel," and the gym was actually on Peel. He said, "Go down Peel, go down all the way, go down past the water, and you'll see it. It's a big outdoor gym." And I said, "Oh my gosh!" And I remember I went down like that first, like the train bridge. I went there and I was like, "I don't see it," right? Because it's kind of around the corner. I was like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And then I pushed a little bit further and I saw it. I was like, "Oh wow, it's amazing." And so having a space like that is, I mean, hugely tied to what I'm able to do as an independent trainer. Obviously the winter's pretty harsh here, but
You still do it.
yeah, we still do it. And in the summer, it's like, that's such a cash cow in terms of like just using that space. All that stuff is there for free. I maintain it, you know, when I'm there. And yeah, just being able to use that equipment has been massive for that, because otherwise I'd be renting out a gym or I'd be paying that overhead, right? So that was super inspiring to me. And for sure, I wasn't able to monetize that right away. You know, I had to kind of break in as a coach. I mean, one of the biggest things was the like the self-awareness that I am actually worth being paid, because that was a huge thing. What's that called? Like when you're kind of self-sabotaging like that. What's the word?
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah, imposter syndrome at the beginning. For sure, that was a huge thing, which I'm totally over now. I mean, like, I've helped enough people now that it's like, I know what I'm doing. I'm even advancing onto a different type of coaching now, because, you know, I've sort of felt like, you know, I'm good there. I've kind of got my bones there. And then, yeah, I was like, you know, I also just understand the power of branding too, right? Like where, you know, eventually, like where I take this brand is up to me because it's my company. But, you know, people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, what's up? You're Quality Reps." It's not, "Oh, you're Isaac, the trainer." It's like, no, it's Quality Reps, right? And that has a lot of power. And, you know, eventually with the merch and everything, you know, we're going to go take it to that next level for sure. And yeah, the power of branding is huge for sure. So that was something that I was always interested in.
And what would you say in the journey, like, what was something that you kind of struggled with, that was a setback to you, and how did you overcome that? And then I also want to add on to that, what, you know, do you think has been the biggest success of Quality Reps up to this point?
I think the biggest thing was I was in a space where, you know, I was being mentored and super motivated and super disciplined, like winter 2023, right? Or 2024? 2024, yeah. And
These years are confusing.
yeah. So winter 2024, I was definitely in a space where, you know, I was like extremely ambitious, extremely disciplined. I felt like I was really in control of my body, even though I was working with this like horrible back injury at the time where my rhomboid was like fully locked and like I couldn't really do a whole lot of stuff. I was kind of pushing through anyways and just doing what I could, but I was also being mentored at the time, and my mentor was really pushing me to make a course, right? So I was making this boxing course. I put a lot of effort into it. I made a really nice product, and then when it was time to sell it, I didn't sell any of them. I still haven't sold one of them, right? And so I had spent like 3 months making this thing, all basically like so much time and effort, right? Learning how to do all these different, you know, Canva and all these things. I edited all these images. We did a photo shoot to have the images for the thing, and then I spent so much time editing them, going over it again, polishing, and then I made a really nice product. And I still haven't sold any of them, right? So that was definitely, I mean, again, there's no losses if you have faith in, like, I still have faith in that product. I'm looking to do other stuff and grow my brand in another way. And when it's time, I've got that in the vault.
Nice,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't want to confuse people too much, because, you know, I've got the accountability service now, PT, classes, even that's a lot, right? So to also say, "Hey, buy my course,"
Right.
is like, and then like trying to market all of those things at the same time doesn't make any sense. I'm focusing one at a time, building the brand up in the way that makes the most sense to me. And then when it's time, I have that asset, it's in my back pocket. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely looking to make some more of those, I think, in the future, when the time is right. So again, not really a big loss, but that was the biggest setback, because I could have been focusing on, making more money or doing something like this. And I was living, I was struggling at the time. Like, I think I was dipping in and out of debt with the bank at that point as well. And I think just in terms of finances too, like really up until maybe 2 or 3 months before I left Thailand. So like in the last 6 months really was the first time where I felt like I was actually comfortable financially.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like a year and a half where I was basically like flat broke, and continuing to just do my free classes at the park, be a nice person to everybody, not steal, not resort to, crime, any of these things. It's really important to keep the faith in what you're doing, even when, the chips are down and, you're low on money or something's going really bad in your life, It's really important to keep your character strong in those moments. And then for the biggest success has definitely just been seeing the client's growth. Like that just makes me so happy. My clients know, I know, I haven't done a lot of like documentation of that, just because I like to keep things kind of like, I want my, clients to feel like they're in like a nice, private space. I don't like to record them too often. At the park, it's a little bit of a different story, but basically just seeing, all my boxers improve, which I obviously get to spar them all the time. So I can really, really sense that. Seeing all of my, older clients get, strong and big and mobile, and explosive as well. Like I do a lot of athletic training with those guys too. So just seeing them being, that gracefulness, it's awesome, man. It hypes me up so much. And that's a big reason why I can achieve that flow state every time, is because I know that that's the result, and that makes me so excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of boxing, you're not just a boxing trainer, but you box yourself. You fight. You do Muay Thai. You just spent a couple months in Thailand training at a camp.
Yeah.
You did a fight.
Shout out Santai.
Shout out Santai. Walk me through your boxing journey, your experience as a fighter, and how you kind of add that into your PT work.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I started when I was like 14, totally self-taught for like 2 or 3 years, maybe longer, maybe 4. I had one teacher for like, I think a month, like near the end of that. But other than that, I was just watching YouTube videos and just smacking that bag up, you know what I mean? Just punching up that bag, kicking the bag, doing what I could. How I could do it, like it was just very basic, you know what I mean? And I get a lot of respect from dudes, you know what I mean, that when I tell them I was like self-taught for the first 4 years. But of course, that guy that came through and trained me for a bit is just a friend of my mother. He basically introduced me to this gym that was it was like a 10-minute bus ride from my house. And so I would go down to Osborne Village. Shout out United Gym. Big shout out to United Gym. I love those guys. Shout out Jacob and Rylan for sure. But I would start doing the classes there, and just breaking into that group class culture too was huge for me, because I'm a very social person, and just making friends there, and doing these tough workouts right in a big group, and then like seeing oh, that guy's stronger than me. I mean, I was a skinny little kid, like even at like 19, 20, I was still pretty skinny. Actually, I was getting a little bit stronger at that point. When I started boxing, I started, learning from the coaches too about like lifting and stuff. And so that's when I started really hitting my stride in terms of like consistent gains, because I was going to the boxing gym a lot. I ended up doing personal training at the boxing gym as well, receiving it. I mean, I haven't actually given any lessons there yet. But Jacob, we started learning. The main coach there he's actually from Russia. So his coach, Jacob's coach, Vitaly, super cool guy. It's funny, right as I was leaving to Montreal, Vitaly finally like acknowledged me. He was like, your job is pretty good. I can teach you how to use it correctly. And I'm like, dude, fuck, I'm leaving next week. Like, oh, like, I was I was always looking for that, and then he finally gave it to me as I was leaving. But yeah, the coaches there were all super awesome, and so I was learning the Soviet style from Jacob, because Jacob was Vitali's student. Jacob was a really awesome boxer. And then, for a long time, I actually never sparred in that club because they wanted you to have a medical card, like a medical check, basically, which expires every year. So I even went back there after being here for 2 years and like just getting super good.
Right.
I went back to spar with them, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have your card, you can't spar." Meanwhile, I'm sparring no headgear in sneakers in the park, in the last like 2 years. Anyways, so they wouldn't let me spar there for a while, and then you also have to do like a technical assessment, which was kind of like, not scary, but it was something that I was like kind of putting off for a while, because I was like, oh, like you need to do a technical assessment and get a medical thing to spar here, like, oh man. But then I finally did it, and that was awesome. I mean, I remember the first rounds I ever had there were with the older guy. I think it was maybe the first or second round. I don't know if we did 3 rounds, but he TKO'd me to the gut, right? And he just didn't TKO me. Like, he hit me, and I was like, holy shit! And then the bell rung, and I just like went off to the side and sat down, like, whoa! And he was like a fully grown man, right? Like, so I mean, that was kind of my intro to that, and then from then on, I would go really consistently to sparring. Sparring with Jacob. Jacob was always awesome, kicking my butt. He was actively fighting amateur at the time. There was pros at that gym too that I would spar with a little bit, and heavyweight guys, lighter guys, younger guys. So it's a really good mix, really good culture there. Some fantastic coaches. They had like 2 or 3 guys that were like, in like their 60s that would come in and just watch us and be like, oh no, do this. And then right around the time that I was actually going to start training with like the team there, because they would have like team classes for the amateur fighters, is when I moved, basically. So I was just really hitting my stride, and then I was like, well, everybody's saying that Montreal is like the mecca for martial arts in Canada, so moving here, I was really excited about that, and it didn't disappoint at all. However, right before I moved, I injured my back for the first time, right? So that time was because I would be doing like 1, 2, 3 hours of boxing, and then immediately going across the street and doing hot yoga, right, for an hour, which I thought was recovery, right? I thought that the hot yoga was recovery, when it's not. You're tearing up the muscles, you're stretching. It's tearing. I'm sweating so much, right? I would sweat for like, 3 hours in the boxing classes, just dumping sweat. And then I would immediately go and do an hour of hot yoga, dumping sweat, right? Like, I sweat a lot when I really get to sweating, So that was my my protocol for a while, and my body just couldn't keep up with it because I really wasn't balancing any strength and conditioning in. So I wasn't doing any sort of structural, alignment in terms of even just doing enough push-ups, pull-ups, like just basic stuff would help me a lot there. I was so into the boxing, and I didn't really have that information. So I kind of like injured my arm and back from punching too much. Like, it was like an overtraining injury, right? And so I spent the next 6 months after I moved here, maybe 3 months, doing strictly strength and conditioning training, like just weights, right? And that was actually the first time when I was working at that gym that I had a full weight setup, like accessible to me at all times. Because at home, I was getting some weights here and there, but it was mostly push-ups, pull-ups, right? And then when I got to that gym, it's like, oh man, I can do my deadlifts and squats. With the mentorship, he was really big on those big barbell compounds and stuff. And so I was getting into that. I got like, I swolled up, you know what I mean? It was good. I was eating my eggs and stuff. And then I stopped working at that gym. So I went to the outdoor gym, and I was just going like absolutely nuts there. It would be like 5 hours of like Cali, I remember my pull days, it was like, like 5 sets of pull-ups, tire flips, curls, inverted row, couch pull, like deadlift. It was like a 5-hour workout. Because also, when you're at the park, you're chatting and, it's just a lovely atmosphere there. So you want to stay there. And then I would bike back up Peel to where we were living. And then I would just eat and eat and eat and eat. And then, just keep working on the brand basically from there. That was like my daily routine. And it was actually okay. I mean, I was getting like super shredded. Like I was like insanely shredded at that point. But it also was just basically to like solidify my back to then start boxing again. But then when I felt like I was better after a couple months of that, I started going to boxing gyms and just like pushing as hard as I possibly could in the sessions. It would be like a regular class and I would just go as hard as I possibly could, even though my techniques were rusty, to sort of show them that I was good enough to maybe be a trainer there, which in retrospect was a very egotistical and not a very savvy idea, right? It would have been a lot better to show them that I was, knowledgeable and smart by just going and having conversations with them instead of showing up to the classes and just going nuts. It is to be, it should be said that a lot of these guys that run these boxing gyms are a little bit aggressive in terms of like, a young 20-year-old kid coming up to them being like, I want to be a trainer here. They're pretty aggressive. It's not easy to break into that kind of culture all the time. Sometimes it is. And I got a lot of really awesome opportunities. But then for months, probably 2 months, I was basically keeping the volume of my Cali and strength conditioning. And it was going really well. That's why I kept it. I didn't want to take anything off of that. Plus doing these boxing classes, which obviously are super intense, and going as hard as I possibly could with them, right? Back injury, again, same spot, way worse this time, right? Oh, pretty obvious when you think about it, but there I am, right? So at that point I started working at UNI, and huge benefit there, which was all of these, professional mobility, like specialists, right? Athletic therapists, osteo, physio, athletic massage. Like these guys are like super skilled, like real trainers, right? And so I start to hang out with them, and they're kind of giving me all these different mobility tools to help my back. And after a long time, that winter was when I did that other project that I was talking about earlier with the course. That was kind of when I after that, because I was filming all these exercises for the course, so it kind of was aggravating my back quite a bit. But then after that I chilled out, and now I'm kind of back to just managing it. I still have some problems with it sometimes, but my mobility protocol is pretty on point at this point. So a lot of that stuff was really helpful in Thailand too. And we're training for 5 hours a day, 2.5 hour sessions, the warm-ups and the cool downs, like just having a little bit of that sauce at the beginning and end is really helpful for sure. Although the trainers, I would never see them doing any sort of stretching and stuff. They're just already dialed in. Like they barely warm up. Just start just kicking and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So I want to move on to another subject.
Yeah.
Why do you incorporate fighting into your programs? Like, why do you emphasize it so much? What, other than like cardiovascular fitness, what benefits do you see from fighting?
Yeah, great question. So something that I was actually thinking about today in terms of even doubling down on the martial arts and my branding, and how important that is to me. So I would say that the main benefit is mental, right? And it's confidence and resilience, right? And also just ability, right? Like we live in a physical world. I think that strength training is super important for that concept as well. Tree falls on your wife. You know what I mean? Like obviously if it's a big tree, you're screwed. But if you're lacking strength that you could have otherwise developed in that moment to save a life, I think that's really important to just always be thinking about developing strength for those sort of reasons, because stuff like that could happen. Like we live in a physical world, right? Like you might something might fall on you, and if you can't, bench press it off you, and you're dead, it's like, oh man, could have put some more reps in the gym. You know what I mean? So strength training is super important, but the martial arts is like lifestyle. You know what I mean? In karate, it's like, I think it's called the do, where it's like way of life. And that, the warrior lifestyle is something that is very important to me, for the reasons that I mentioned before, right? Like ability, confidence, and resilience. I think my friend Jeff said it the best, where it's like, if life starts throwing these bombs at you, right? And you haven't had that training where, if you're an intermediate boxer, right? That when the punches are coming, there's no reaction, right? There's no, right? It's counter, move. And that type of mentality is so beneficial for life in general, right? Where these things are happening at you one after another, and that's just the nature of life. You know what I mean? Life is not static. And just the ability to be able to literally roll with the punches that life is throwing at you, you know what I mean? Is extremely beneficial. And then to move on to the confidence note, a lot of my students have had that as like a big goal, and it's kind of obvious. It's like, okay, here's this kid, we get him to spar 100 rounds. Like, of course his confidence is going to go up because he's getting humbled. He's humbling people. He's getting humbled. He's humbling people. You get to kind of understand your place and how you think about yourself a lot better, right? Especially the humbling aspect. It's important to be humbled. It's important to, I was just listening to a podcast yesterday about how it's important to keep a sense of humor, because if you don't, you won't be humble. And if you're not humble, then you'll be complacent, right? And it's exactly that. And again, moving on to the ability, my friend Adam, I think, said it the best. And, these are those interviews that I did were with them. The street interviews were so awesome. But basically he was like, in a situation where somebody is threatening me with hand-to-hand physical violence, obviously if it's weapons, it's a different story, but he's like, and in his mind, he can see that this guy isn't really a threat to him. And this is, a champion MMA guy talking, right? But shout out Adam. But this guy, he's like, yeah, this guy's not a threat to me. I'm not going to let his threats, bother me. It's like, oh yeah, you got it, bro. You know what I mean? And then there's no violence, right? Like the more high level you are in terms of physical hand-to-hand violence, the less likely you are to start it, in my opinion. And I think that's true. There's different personalities, but I think that's true for like 95% of fighters. And I think that's really important. And I also just believe in keeping your family safe, right? The warrior lifestyle in terms of martial arts, I think extends to a lot of other things. I think it's very, that sort of lifestyle maybe can start to lend to different types of self-defense in terms of protecting your home and just being aware of that kind of stuff, protecting your family, being aware when you're in public, in a big, public space where there's lots of people, just having that moment of like, okay, I'm looking around, not because I'm paranoid, but because these people are important to me, and I would fight to, I'm not adverse to putting my, my physical well-being in a lot of ways on the line to protect these people, right? And then I also think that it also lends to learning about, meditation and stuff like that. A lot of martial arts incorporate meditation, and I think that's a massively beneficial practice as well. So there's so much. I mean, I could keep going, right? Like that's just the first things that came to mind, really. There's so much that martial arts has given me. It's amazing. And like I said, I think I'm going to be doubling down with it on the martial arts as a part of my branding. I think that's going to be part of the system that I'm creating for discipline. And again, discipline, like discipline and compassion and so many things. It's like you're getting punched in the face repeatedly. Are you going to show up tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like it's such a difficult way to train. Like you're just being punished. And if you slip up, it's like you can't just drop the weight. You know what I mean? It's like you're getting hit, right? So it's definitely high stress, but that's, again, it's just the resilience, right? Like there's so many things. It's such a deep well of growth for so many things. So many things.
What's a funny story from your time fighting?
A funny story?
Just one, yeah. One selected story.
I mean, I always have fun. I can't think of anything.
Can't think of any? What's an inspiring story then? Just something that sticks out to you.
I mean, the thing that came up in terms of a story right away is when I did that. I don't know. Were you there for that big event that I did where like Jenna was there and we were all? Or no, I don't think you were there. I think you might have been in Winnipeg.
Well, I'll hear the story and we'll see.
Yeah. So basically, I had a big event, a big boxing event for beginners, right? So it was a bunch of new faces that were there to sort of learn martial arts, just learn some basic footwork, and it was really nice. It was a great turnout, and we all had the regular sparring and watermelon, and it was just a fantastic day, and everyone had a great time. And I remember since there was some more people than usual, my regular students started really getting warmed up, and at a certain point I was like, all right, you guys can start live sparring. I didn't say hard sparring, and it wasn't really that hard, but they were in a good mood, and they were fresh, and they were having a great combat. It was a good round. I have all the footage from it, and it was just a great round. And after the fight, and it was a fight with a lot of like counter punching, right? So it was kind of even, and there was a lot of like the other two, or they're like surprising each other a lot in the fight. And then I remember after, and we just got this beautiful video of it, and I was watching. I'm in the background of the video where, shout out Ben, shout out Christian. They're hugging each other after the fight, and Ben just grabs Christian's hand, and we're all watching, and he just puts his hand up like this, and they both just have this huge smile, and Christian's like bleeding out of his mouth, and they're just smiling, and I just, that image of him holding his hand up is something that. It comes to me a lot. I think about it a lot, and that's kind of like what I always want to achieve with something like that, like those sparring sessions, is just that like brotherhood where you feel safe, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but you feel safe and you feel like comfortable with what we're doing, and that it's camaraderie, and that iron is sharpening iron, and it's not you're not being broken, right? You're being reforged, right? You're being strengthened.
Speaking of which, we're going to do one more question, and then we've got some questions from the audience, which we're really excited about.
Woo-hoo!
And then a bit of a speed round, but this question, is very important, I think, for everyone out there that wants to fight, that wants to, do an amateur fight and get up. How would you describe your experience with your first fight, your Muay Thai fight, like going up on stage in front of all the lights and cameras and the people? Like, what was that like? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so this was about a month ago. I was in Thailand after training for 2 months at Santai Gym in San Kamphaeng, Chiang Mai. And basically, there was a lot of things about the fight that I don't regret any of it, but it definitely could have been a lot smoother in terms of the preparation for it. So about 3 or 4 weeks out from when I was thinking that I was going to leave. So this was, I fought on about a week before I left the country, right? It was like 10 or 9, I think it was 9 or 8 days before I left the country was when I fought. So I was writing all these different scenarios down and seeing should I ask to fight on this day? Because I really wanted to fight, right? I wasn't sure when I entered the camp and did my first 2 weeks, because I bought 2 weeks, and then I thought, no, I'm not sure. Let me just get a little bit more time here, and then I'll decide. And then after I got more time, I said, you know what? No, I'm going to just dial it in. I want to do it for my people, for my brand. This is the most important thing that I can do in this country, right? Is this fight. Plus, I'm training, like this is such a good opportunity to train. I'm living at the gym. The food is good. The food is cheap. The food is very easily accessible. And, you know, everything is just in the best possible way that it pretty much could be to, you know, produce results in terms of getting better at striking. So, especially the trainers. Shout out the trainers at Santai, bro. Whew! Ah, incredible guys. Anyways, so, like, yeah, 3 weeks out from my fight, I asked one of the trainers, hey, I want to fight. You know, you guys know that I'm good at boxing. I'm learning the kicks. Let me fight. And he was like, sure, right? He said, you start hard training tomorrow. I said, okay. He said, start running 10 kilometers every day. I said, okay. And then he turned around and I went, what? Right? And so that Monday came around that he was talking about. I ran my 10K. I was like 7 or something. And then the next day I did like 13 by accident. Plus the 5 hours. He's saying start running 10K plus 5 hours of Muay Thai training. And he didn't give me any other instructions other than that. Right? And, you know, these guys don't speak English super well. It's kind of a little bit disorganized. It's pretty like kind of sporadic in terms of like what's going on any given day. So, you know, that trainer, Poye, he actually he leaves the gym. He goes to Bangkok because he was getting annoyed by his baby mama. His baby mama was giving him some drama, and he said, you know what? I'm leaving the city.
Crazy.
And I'm going to go to Bangkok to train for a week. And then he came back for a couple of days, and he went back to Bangkok to fight at Lumpini Stadium, which he won the fight. It was a great fight. We saw it on the TV. Anyways, throughout that whole time, I'm like, okay, well, the fight was never confirmed, but I didn't really ask. I just kept training, right? As if I was going to fight 3 weeks from that week, like I asked. I built myself a training program. Later, I realized that they would have been training me that whole time, but they weren't, right? Because Poye didn't tell them. And I didn't know what it was supposed to look like, right? There was other kids, well, yeah, I mean, they're all like 20, that were fighting in that gym as well, that they would fight regularly, and they had a bit more special attention from the coaches, but I didn't really notice that, right? So then it's like a week and a half out from the fight. Poye is still not back. Poye comes back the next week, like the week of that I would be fighting. So I'm asking the coaches, like, hey, like, am I fighting? Like, did he talk to you guys about it? And they were like, oh, no, like, you would, you know, just train for like 2-3 more weeks and then we'll let you fight. And I was like, well, I'm leaving the country in 2-3 more weeks. Like, that's not going to work for me. The only time that can work for me is like next week. And they were kind of like humming and hawing about it. They were like, oh, we don't really think you're ready. And I was like, what? Like, really? Like, I'm, you know, for sure, like, other than this one guy who was just like a monster. They actually ended up signing that guy. But other than him, I'm basically like matching everybody in sparring for the most part. Like on, you know, there's sometimes when I'm getting a little bit beat up, but for the most part, I'm getting pretty much, I'm doing well in sparring. However, I have this rib injury right at the time. I got kicked in sparring on like the second week.
By that guy.
By that guy,
yeah.
Who is a monster. Shout out Daniels, love you, buddy. He kicked the shit out of me, and it was even a light kick. Like, it wasn't that much hard of a kick, but it just hit me right in the spot where I had another rib injury from months prior. Shout out Matt. I love you, buddy. I love my sparring partners. Anyways, to wrap up the story, basically all those things combined, it made me very like unsure if I was even going to fight at all. But I decided to commit, and even if I was having to fight the next week after that, and I thought, well, you know, this next week of training that I might get is going to be super valuable because I'm only getting better, and these guys only have more knowledge to impart to me, right? Like, I'd have to spend like 2 years there before they started running out of stuff to teach me, probably more. So, not sure about the fight, and then that weekend, because I wasn't sure, I was like, well, let me just take a couple days off to like heal the rib, and I basically went out and like partied with my friend in Chiang Mai for like 3 days, right? So I took 3 days off from like the camp, right? Then I come back on like the Tuesday, and the other coaches are like, hey, you said you wanted to fight, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, we'll tell you tomorrow if you're fighting or not on the same week, Saturday, right? So it's Tuesday, and they're like, yeah, there's like, they made it seem like it was like a 50-50 chance that if I was fighting or not on this Saturday. And I was like, oh, brother. And I'm training. And then on Wednesday morning session, they're like, it's so funny. They're all these like trainers are just standing in the middle of the gym. And at this point they had like taken my picture and stuff for the promoter and all that. And so these trainers are just like, the class is on, there's like 40 white people, hitting the bags. These trainers are just standing right dead in the middle of the gym. And they're like, yo, Isaac, come here. And they're like, hey, you want to fight this weekend, right? I'm like, yeah, if I can. And then they like holler at these other two people that were supposed to fight that next weekend. They're like, hey, do you want to fight this weekend? She was like, yeah. Hey, do you want to fight this weekend? He was like, yeah, sure. They're like, all right, all you guys are fighting this weekend. I was like, oh my God, like, finally, but also like, what is this organization?
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. But, fine. And then that night, they started whooping my ass. Like, they started really training me hard. That was maybe one of because I was kind of fresh.
Right.
That one was probably one of the hardest workouts I've ever done. I was so exhausted, and they were just like, I remember I was cooked. I had done so much pads, and they were like, all right, do like 50 kicks on the pads, like continuous, like bam, 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 bam. And I recorded it, or it was like 50 and then 30, like 50 on each leg and then 30 on each leg. And I remember that took me like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. And I have a 5-minute video of me and I'm just like, just destroyed, right? And then I'm feeling pretty good going up to the fight. I'm doing some more extra personal training sessions. I'm learning some tactics and stuff. And then I learned this specific tactic where it's like cross and then knee, or you can do cross, hook, knee. But when you throw the cross, you cover their eyes. So it's like you're covering the eyes and then you knee them. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. However, I learned this technique 2 days before the fight.
Right.
But I was like, this is what I'm doing for my fight. And so also I'm training myself to be like, I'm sort of wanting to create this sort of animosity towards my opponent. Like, I'm going to kill this guy, I'm going to rip his heart out, da-da-da-da-da. And then fight day rolls around, we load out, we're in all the vans, everybody's, we're listening to these tunes in the car, and, it's a great time. We get out. I'm feeling good, I'm a little bit on edge, but I'm feeling good. And then we get to the stadium, and fight number 2 of the night, there's like 16 fights on the card, right? Fight number 2 is underway. We arrive at the stadium, and then again, organization.
Yeah.
We arrive at the stadium while fight number 2 is going on. We look at the sheet that they have at the door, and we see that I'm number 4. So that we have like maybe 25 minutes to wrap my hands, oil me down, get all of the like stuff, like they give you like a cape and like a headband, right? And get everything ready for my first technically pro fight. They paid me, right? So I had 25 minutes to prepare after getting out of the car, which is nuts because I'll stretch for 25 minutes before I even hit the bag, right? So basically no warm up at all. And they oiled me down that morning just to show me what it was like, but I'm covered in oil. And then, the other thing that was really weird was that, we go into like this little change room, and my opponent's just like standing right there. He's like, oh, Isaac. And I was like, what's up, bro? Like, and in that moment, I thought, okay, I'm either going to be a total asshole to this guy and like pretend as if this guy is fucking standing in between me and like my kids and he's going to kill them and all this stuff. Or I could just be polite and compassionate like I regularly am. And in that moment, I was like, I hesitated for a second, and then I was like, yeah, what's up, bro? And so my compassion just overpowered all of that I was building up for the last couple of days, these like ideas of like, trying to kill this guy. Although when the fight started, but yeah, that was super weird to like share the locker room with him. Like, it's bizarre and like very kind of uncomfortable. Like I would have preferred not to have done it that way, but it is what it is. Anyways, we get in the ring and we do the Y crew, right? So they had told me the Y crew again, same day. They didn't teach it to me before. So it was like a basic Y crew wasn't the full Y crew. The Y crew is the special dance.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm doing my dance. He's doing his dance. I'm walking around. We're doing the whole thing. His is longer than mine. And the fight starts. First bell, I run straight towards him. I go for the combo, right? Cross, hook, knee. I miss the knee. And then we reset. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, I am so excited to finally do this. Because I had actually been to that stadium and watched fights every weekend for the past 5 weeks with the whole camp. The whole camp would go out every weekend to go see the fights. And, all of my buddies, all of my friends that I had made, and I had made some really good friends there, were in the stands. They were super excited. Everyone was talking about it all week that I was fighting. And I'm like, man, this guy is my height. He's my weight. You know what I mean? He just dodged my freaking death blow attempt, right? Now we're fighting. And I was so excited to the point where I just had this fucking shit-eating grin. I was just, and I couldn't move. My legs were moving, but my hands, I was just like, oh, baby, wow. I was so excited. And he was starting to just kick me and punch me and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, buddy, kick me, yeah. It was a weird feeling, man. And then he kicked me one more time and I was like, all right. And so we start fighting and it's so funny. I remember telling Ben, yeah, I don't think I threw a single jab or leg kick in the entire fight. And that's usually all I do in sparring is they told me to actually stop doing leg kicks and just go for body kicks because I'm usually way taller than my opponents. But he was like, dude, you didn't jab? What? That's your entire, you just jab me when we spar. And it's true. It's a little bit harder when when the guy's the same height as me, but yeah, I was just going I would roll right into range, get hit, and just try to knock him out in one punch. And it didn't work because it's not how you knock somebody out. You have to set it up. You have to do it when they're not looking. It's a setup. It's a setup to knock somebody out. It's not I'm rolling in and just swinging like a freaking barbarian, right? And so it was really my greed. It was my greed of wanting to knock him out. I was like, first round knockout for sure. Go get my Quality Reps t-shirt when I win. Bring it to me. I'm going to take a picture with it. I was so confident that I was going to win. I was totally confident. And it's a good thing, right? But got way too excited after I stepped in the ring. And the fight was pretty even. I think I would have won if not in the third round. Bell rings. I walk straight forward and he head kicks me. Right? And we usually don't head kick in sparring that much, right? So instead of doing the proper block, right, I did a boxing move where I tried to kind of roll it. But punches kind of come from head level or higher, right? Or sometimes from below, but the kick is coming from below. So I lean into the kick, right? And I basically get knocked out in that moment, right? I kind of black out for maybe a second. And then I'm back awake and I can feel myself falling. I catch myself back on my feet. But they counted me, right? And so I was never able to hurt him bad enough that they counted him, which basically gave him the fight because other than that, it was kind of even, right? However, right after that, that's the third round, it's the last round, he's gassed. That was the thing that I was probably the most disappointed about is that after the fight, I'm like, dude, I could have kept going for another 10 rounds. I felt fine, you know what I mean? Which I was really frustrated about because that's something that I tell my students all the time. If you're in hard sparring, empty the tank. Why not? You know what I mean? But he was, we don't have shin guards and stuff, so it's I was kind of a bit, not scared. I didn't feel any fear in the fight, I don't think at all. Or anger or hatred. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was wanting to generate is that anger, hatred, but it was just the greed that got me. It was the greed of the knockout. But basically, he head kicked me, I got up, and then he's trying to head kick me again. I'm dodging. Nice teep to the stomach, knock him down. But, knockdowns happen all the time in Muay Thai. It's not a really big deal. And then the fight was over. I thought I won for sure. I went up, lifted his hand up, just like that story that I was telling, right? I was like, good fight, boom, boom, boom. and blue corner won, right? And I think the biggest thing too that was stopping me from emptying the tank, because like my feet are super strong, right? So we're barefoot in there. I was thinking about sprinting around, like sprinting into him, boom, sprinting knee, sprinting cross, sprinting jab cross, right? Like really putting a lot of force from the legs into the punches. But in between every round, right, which is only 2 times, right? I get back to the corner, right, and I sit down. Immediately they're pouring ice water over you, force feeding you ice water, and massaging your entire body, right, all at the same time. So I'm like, holy and then giving you advice about your fucking fight, like, do this, do this, do this. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That was pretty overstimulating, especially because, you know, again, I'm in a freaking stadium, right? Like, first fight ever, and then now they're pouring ice water over me. And, you know, I got back up, and then again, my plan was to kind of outmaneuver him with, like, really kind of dynamic footwork, right? And I go to, again, start the round off by sprinting towards him. I wanted to do that every round, just get right in his face. Because he really wasn't that much of a, like, obviously he was a fighter. Props to Robin, bro. For sure. Props to that guy. But after the fight, he was like, yeah, you're stronger than me. Right? I went to sprint towards him, and my feet are slipping because of the ice water that they poured all over me. Right? The canvas mat, there's already water on the freaking thing, sweat and water on the mat, right? And oil, right? I'm covered in oil. So, you know, I'm trying to knee him, and my shit is slipping off his oiled stomach. You know what I mean? It's like, like, God damn it. Like, but yeah, so I'm looking to sprint around, and I'm slipping. And the dude is so gassed that at one point, and you saw the footage, where I'm like, my hands are up, but I'm just like literally standing in the middle of the ring like this, like just wiping my feet off, and he's just like taking his time. He's just catching his breath. You know what I mean? So obviously a lot to train for and understand now that I've done it. It's unfortunate that I lost, but at the same time, it's like that's going to be huge motivation for my training for the next, you know, until my next fight and probably beyond that for the rest of my life. Right? I mean, I always wanted to have a perfect record, and now that's impossible, right? But that's just the way that that's the way that it was going to go, man. It's just the plan of things.
True.
Obviously, if I had more time to prepare with the coaches, it probably would have been better, because that guy, you know, again, I wanted that guy to be stronger than me, and he wasn't. You know what I mean? I wanted him to be stronger than me, and I win. But he was, you know, I was stronger than him, and I lost. Right? He got that effect. So just, you know, being a bit more measured in my confidence, you know, removing the greed as well. Setting up, and, you know, more technique. Obviously, I'm going to go back and work on my strength as well, because I wanted to get him with the body shot, and that wasn't really landing. So working on the strength, just going back to square one. I think strength training, basic techniques, and then working my way back from there.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Great experience, though. Yeah, amazing experience.
All right, so now we're gonna transition into some questions from the audience.
Next segment, yeah.
So this one's from Raul. Shout out Raul, love you, buddy. It's your birthday soon. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, twin. Happy birthday, little bro.
What did you learn from getting injured because of overtraining?
Yeah, so this is my story, right? First overtraining injury was because of not enough strength and conditioning. Second was because of altogether too much strength and conditioning. So the freaking pain and frustration and all of these negative sort of things, all of these unpleasant realities that I was faced with when, you know, I was so into, like, I just wanted to go to the moon with my training, right? Like, I was there for hours and hours and hours and hours, both times. And for me to be humbled that way and be like, now you have to do very little training, like, super humbling. And it just showed me, well, it showed me two things. Number one, as a coach, it gave me some very precise parameters to, in terms of like volume and intensity for my programs, right? Where it's like, okay, I have the parameters of the spectrum of like what for like a normal person. I don't believe that I'm like, you know, I'm pretty genetically gifted up here, but in terms of like strength training and stuff, I wouldn't say that I'm like a genetic freak by any means. So for like a normal person, what the sort of ratios are in terms of like, this is too much, this is too little, particularly for an athlete, but also just in general, which, you know, Raul, actually, we were able to, you know, help him out a little bit in that way where he was way over in terms of doing too much. And I was dragging him back. He was too stubborn, and, you know, he also got overtraining injury. But I saw it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stop him from doing that. But, which, you know, sucks. But he had to learn it like I did, I guess. You know, he's my student through and through in that way, I suppose. But the other thing that I learned was just being able to truly relate to people that have limitations physically, right? Because I had this huge drive and passion to get stronger, and I was just completely stopped from doing that. So it was extremely, I would say it's probably one of the, I mean, as a young coach who is probably going to be able to keep this under control for the rest of my life, I'd say it's actually hugely beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we got a question from Ben. Shout out Ben out there.
Shout out Ben, love you, bro.
What have you noticed about longtime clients that stayed with you longer than others? Any differences? I mean, obviously there's going to be some differences, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I get closer, it usually takes me like a month or two to get really close to somebody. I'm able to coach them so much better because, you know, once they're with me for a month or two, I know what they like, I know what they don't like, and I know their bodies well enough to where, you know, obviously I'm not going to do stuff that's like super painful for them, but then it's like I can manage the coaching in a way where it's like, hey, we're going to do this thing that you hate and make you more resilient to it, right? Hey, we're going to do this thing. I know how you've been training for the last couple months. We're going to add on to it. We're going to add on to it. And I can be extremely precise with the progressions in terms of the strength training. Obviously, in terms of the habit coaching, like the accountability coaching, there's just so much like joy and like just like joie de vivre and like, you know, just lifestyle benefits. Like their lives are just better from doing that sort of training. I did it, you know, we're going forward with the accountability coaching full steam right now. And I just believe that it's a huge benefit to anybody that takes part in it. Strength training and accountability training, right? These are things that I believe, this is better than like, for me, in my opinion, like obviously no disrespect, but like this is the type of thing where it's like, man, I feel like everybody should have this. You know what I mean? Like I think if everybody had this in some way, myself included, everybody would just be in a better place in life. And like, you know, I'd often joke with some of the other trainers, like, you know, if you have a trainer, you are in a much better position to probably not need like a doctor. You know what I mean? And what's more expensive, right? Like, obviously we have healthcare, but it's, you know,
right.
It's, yeah, you know, exercise, healthy lifestyle, and a community of people that are interested in positive habits and lifestyle. Yeah.
All right. The next segment, this is our speed
Did you
round.
want to do one of your questions?
I've already asked a bunch of mine.
Let's fucking go.
I've incorporated them.
Okay.
But now we're going to do a speed round. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Next segment.
We're going to have a ton of quick questions here. Yeah, we could go through like, you have...
Did you go through them?
40 questions here. So we could do, I don't know, however many you want.
I mean, we could do all of them.
Well, let's do it.
All right.
You know, let's be ambitious here.
Yeah. Go for that
Okay.
full rep range.
Full rep range.
All right.
40 reps.
I'm going to loosen up here.
70 Ready? Worst workout you've ever done?
I mean, getting injured sucks. Like when I get injured in a workout, that's really sucky. But I don't think any workouts are really that bad. Just those ones.
Exercise you hate?
I don't really hate any exercise in particular.
One that you don't like?
I'll do it, man. There's not.
One that you wouldn't recommend?
Bad form, half range push-ups.
Okay, there we go.
But those are good too. Those are good too. You can do the shorties, man. They're good.
What about like?
I don't have one, bro.
I don't know, like kettlebell swing or
those
something.
Those are great.
I don't know. Like, okay, most overrated fitness trend right now.
I don't even know, dude. Like
CrossFit.
It's good. Like it works. It's I guess if you're I'd say if you're blind to doing anything else. Like if you take a fitness trend and you're like, this is the holy grail, nothing else matters, this is the greatest thing of all time, you guys are all morons if you're not doing this. That's the only thing that
what about like steps?
That is popular.
What about like 10,000 steps a day?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not overrated?
Not overrated at all.
Okay. Most underrated exercise?
Burpees.
Burpees, okay. If someone had only 10 minutes to work out, what should they do?
Burpees.
One exercise everyone should do every week.
Burpees. I would say I like skip rope or anything where you're like jumping up and down is really nice for like loosening up your neck and your shoulders and stuff. I like that too, like skip rope maybe.
Okay.
Or burpees. Burpees does that too.
I think I know the answer to this one already. One exercise everyone should stop doing. None of them.
None of them. I guess
exercise.
Like, if I would say don't like do good range of motion push-ups, man. Like please. I see so many people doing half ranges when they're not. It's like do a push-up. It's like I'm not saying do a shorty, do a full push-up, and they're like bro, come on. Like you can touch the floor, do a full scapular extension.
Yeah. It's
good for you, bro. Please.
Most embarrassing moment in the gym?
I don't know, dude.
Probably the time you pissed your pants in the gym, right?
That never.
Just kidding. There are no embarrassing moments in the gym because
I can't.
No one's looking at
something
you.
Funny.
Nothing's going on. You're just in your own world.
I mean, there's a difference. I mean, in boxing, you're kind of getting embarrassed a lot of different times for different reasons. I remember, like, it sucks when I get bled. Like, when I get bled, and, like, I remember this one time this dude bled me, and he was wearing a nice white long sleeve.
You were wearing your nice
when I got bled,
too.
I got bleeding over the white tees. It's a little embarrassing. Actually, I'll tell the story. So I was at Hard Knocks. Shout out Ross. My buddy Ross was in there. We were sparring. We did, like, 8 rounds. And he was doing Golden Gloves the next week. So they were, like, hard sparring, like, all the way, right? And in the last round, right? Beautiful. 1, 2, crack! I said, nice! And I'm moving around because he's a badass, right? So I'm moving around, moving. And then I've realized I've bled all over the ring. Like, I've moved in like a full circle and just bled everywhere. They're like, oh my goodness, stop. And then the coaches are just like, swabbing it up, and they clean it up like super efficiently in like 10 minutes. Then I'm just sitting there with like tons of napkins, just like blood, because he had really loosened it up. But yeah, that was pretty embarrassing because I really like those coaches, and I was kind of new at the gym. Anyways, let's keep going. Speed round.
Favorite post-workout meal?
Oh, okay. So you're gonna take a bunch of cheese and a bunch of eggs, honey on the eggs, salt and pepper. That's it.
Sometimes he'll just eat a whole block of cheese. Come home and there's just a bite mark. Just a bite mark.
Protein pack.
Block of cheese.
I'll usually cut it first.
Yes. I'd say 70% of the time. Favorite punch to throw?
Jab, for sure.
Punch you hate getting hit with? All of them?
Jab.
Hardest round you've ever had?
I mean, round 3 in that fight was something, but I would say just any of my rounds with Matt. Like, Matt when he's, like, on one, you know what I mean? Matt or Akil, either of them, you know. Yeah, shout out Glassjaw, love you guys. See you guys soon.
One thing beginners misunderstand about sparring.
About sparring? I mean, it's not about violence, really. Like, it's actually about restraint, right? A lot of beginners will get, just, like, out of their mind, and they're just, like, that's not sparring. That's, like, an uncontrolled beginner wild, like going wild. Like that's not what sparring is. You know what I mean? Sparring is literally like I'm restrained, I'm gonna work on this thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's about being calm. It's not about being wild.
Hardest habit to stay consistent with?
I mean, for me is sleep. I would say for most people it's probably like good nutrition because the nutrition industry, like the food industry is so like messed up these days.
First habit you would build if someone wants to build discipline?
Yeah, I think for overall discipline, something that is really useful for a first time sort of thing is exercise, because it's just kind of like, it's like an easy dopamine hit. You see the gains, right? So it's like everything else is a bit less substantial than that, right? Like working on your body is like, you feel it, you feel good, you see the pump, right? It's like, yeah, I would say exercise.
One habit that quietly destroys people's fitness.
For sure, nutrition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, like people just, I feel like most people don't understand the role that it plays. Definitely something like alcohol as well, like how devastating it can be for recovery. And yeah, just like good sleep, good nutrition, and staying away from like bad drugs and stuff.
What about something that quietly improves people's lives?
Meditation. Yeah, reading. For sure.
Now we're gonna go to some lifestyle questions. Some questions about you. Go full circle here. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Morning workouts or evening?
Morning.
Music or silence while training?
It depends.
Cold showers, yes or no?
Dude, yes, I did cold showers for like 2.5 years. I think I missed like 5 days.
Alcohol and fitness compatible or not?
I mean, technically, yeah, but it's gonna mess up your recovery for sure.
I think in everything in moderation, right? Like,
yeah, there's no doubt it's gonna mess you up, but it's not like it's gonna. I mean, it will kill you if you have too much. But
this is true.
So working out.
Most common lie people tell themselves about fitness.
I guess. I mean, the first thing that came to mind is like, you have to like go super hard every time, and if you're not like having like a perfect session, then it's not worth it. Like, no, like consistency is the most important thing, right? Like having like, and this is something that I did a lot, was like I would like rewrite my program a lot. Like, nah, bro, just like keep it. Like that's something that I'm doing a lot more now that I've sort of matured as like an athlete and a coach, is like, we're just going to keep a lot of the stuff the same and actually get really good at it. Sometimes if we need to change the stimulus, it's okay to change, but we want to keep it tight.
What's harder, discipline or patience?
That's a good one. I don't know, discipline. That's like a whole podcast right there.
There you go, ideas. What's something you've changed your mind about fitness?
Yeah, for sure, the programming. Like, consistency over like perfect everything has to be science maxed out kind of thing.
What's the way that people overcomplicate their training?
Yeah, that and just everything, right? Like, you can overcomplicate your training in 100,000 different ways. Like, there's so many variables to health, but it's just about like your baseline non-negotiable things being consistent, right? Like that's the key to improvement, I think.
Yeah. What's like a piece of advice that you would give yourself, maybe like 18-year-old Isaac, you know?
Just that, like, consistency is going to overcome, basically anything, right? Like, a water dripping down on a rock will pierce the rock eventually. You know what I mean? If it's consistent enough, right? So that's the mindset.
What's the first sign when you're training someone that they'll succeed?
Like a willingness to push really hard. Like if we're doing like the assessment and they're like really sweating and going hard, like first round, which is rare, I know that they're going to be consistent because they really want it. You know what I mean? That's one thing. Yeah.
What's a moment that you'll never forget as a coach?
Just those park sessions, man. I mean, just like spending time with these young guys and like the hours just flying by, you know what I mean? The music and the watermelon and just those moments in the summer in the park, man.
Yeah. If you could train with any fighter in history, who would it be?
I mean, my favorite boxer is Thomas Hearns. I feel like the question's funny though, because it's like, would I want to spar him? Not really. Like, yes, yeah, like I would. But training alongside them, I mean, yeah, like somebody like Floyd or Pacquiao, like a really technical guy, would be cool too. I mean, I think my entire arm is about as big as Pacquiao's whole body. But yeah, just any of the greats, really, man. I'm not picky. Ali.
Yeah.
I would love to be, actually, I'm going to say Ali because I would love to be around him. I'd love to just kind of see what he was like.
Yeah. What's the best macronutrient?
Protein.
What's the best micronutrient?
Sodium.
What's the worst macronutrient?
No, I don't have. They're good.
No, I don't
You
know.
need them.
If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life ever, what would it be?
Eggs.
What's one fitness myth that you want to kill forever?
Crazy. That doing your best is always going to be enough, man. Just do your best. Yeah,
That's a myth that you want to kill?
No, that it's not.
Oh,
right?
I see. Okay.
That you have to be,
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect. Like, no,
Yeah.
bro, just show up. Please, just show up. That's it. Just show up.
What does quality reps mean in one sentence?
It's all about consistently applying positivity into your life.
Finish the sentence. Discipline equals
Freedom.
And one last question. If I want to buy training from you, where in the world can I find you?
Well, you can go on all my social media. Okay, we got YouTube Quality Reps. We got Instagram Quality Reps. And if you see me in the street, I will for sure love to come talk with you. For right now, I'm super on my independent stuff, so really the social media is the best way unless you know where I live. But yeah, you can find me at the park, man. We're doing classes Thursday nights and Saturday morning, so I'll be around there. 10 a.m. Saturday, 5 p.m. on Thursday. And yeah, you can find me there.
Well, thanks for talking, man. That was a very enlightening discussion, and
I'm glad that you think that.
yeah, it was great. It was great to know more about you because I didn't know any of those things. We haven't ever talked about any of this stuff. This is the first time I'm asking. So
Yeah, shout out
it's
Magnus,
great.
bro. This is a very studious guy. All my tactics and stuff. Like, you always were a great listener in terms of that. You're able to apply a lot of it. I'm really proud of you. So.
Well, I do my best, and so do you. So, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching, if you're watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. Quality reps till I expire, man. Quality reps till the day I die. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace, y'all. Thank you for watching the video. We're gonna have another one up soon. Thanks again for watching the video, guys. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. Got the workout videos, stretching videos, and the vlogs. Love you guys. I'll see you guys soon.